Welcome to Inside Gaming. I'm Brian. It is weekend roundup time. So guys, it's no surprise that CD Projekt Red has had a rough year and a half ever since Cyberpunk 2077 launched back in late 2020. And you probably know the story here. I don't have to tell you, the ambitious open world game had been hyped for years and years. When it finally came out, kind of a dud. I was so looking forward to this game and I was so underwhelmed by what was delivered. There were performance issues. It was really bad on older systems. It was actually delisted on the PlayStation Store. Refunds were offered. It was a huge embarrassment all the way around. It became a classic case of a game getting overhyped and then not delivering. Oh, and then there was a ransomware attack on CD Projekt Red a few months later. When that cyber attack was made public, the hackers said they had obtained source code for games like Cyberpunk and Witcher 3, and they said, give us some money, and CD Projekt Red was like, no, we're not. It was a giant mess. But now we have some idea of how bad the fallout was for the developer, and the headline here is that all of those events over the last year and a half had a big impact on the company's bottom line. How big, you might ask, BG? Well, I checked the stock price at midweek and it was trading at $5 a share. Woo! Now let me give you some perspective. Back at its all-time peak, that was in December 4th of 2020, right before Cyberpunk release, it was trading at $31 a share. So it dropped almost 84% in the last year and a half, or to put it another way, the stock is worth about 1/6 of what it was before Cyberpunk release. That is how bad CD Projekt Red has been hurt by all this, and that's despite Cyberpunk selling almost 14 million copies in 2020 alone. But since then, the developer, they've basically been focused on fixing the many problems with the game. They've also had to cut features like a multiplayer mode. The fall has been so bad that CD Projekt Red might not even be Poland's biggest developer anymore. That crown now possibly belongs to Techland, which makes Dying Light and the Call of Juarez games. That's according to Business Insider Poland. They did an estimate, so maybe CD Projekt Red's still the biggest, maybe Techland is now, but still. Meanwhile, earlier this year, CD Projekt Red said that now it's sold 18 million copies of Cyberpunk, so they sold 4 million after that first year in 2020. They're adding that they're working on a major expansion of the game. There's going to be a new storyline, so I guess they're trying to No Man's Sky things. Meanwhile, they've got another Witcher game in pre-production because if you're CD Projekt Red, you probably want to move on from Cyberpunk. You probably want to fix it and then just they're like, let us never speak of this again. It has been rough. All right, on to the rest of the stories. The legendary creator of Doom, John Romero, has a new first-person shooter game in the works. It's going to be using Unreal Engine 5. Interesting. Romero tweeted this week, it's a new dawn for Romero Games. We're working with a major publisher to develop John Romero's next shooter, an all-new FPS with an original new IP. Our team is expanding and we're looking for talented people for all positions and at all experience levels, particularly those with Unreal Engine 5 experience. I checked out the studio's website. They got a bunch of openings, design openings, art, code, everything. IGN found a senior multiplayer programmer position and an online architect one. Those are both listed, so very possible we're going to get some multiplayer online components. We don't have other details at this time, no release date, published. I mean, they're obviously staffing up at this point, so it's very early, but we will keep you posted. We've got another union formed at Activision, the QA staff at Blizzard's office in Albany. That's Blizzard Albany. They were formerly Vicarious Vision. They announced recently they had voted to unionize. The group, the new union, is called GWA Albany. It's got 20 members. They said they wanted to address issues like compensation and healthcare and, quote, establishing reasonable protocols to address demands of crunch time. In a tweet, the group wrote, "We at Blizzard Albany pride ourselves on our craft and our culture. With a union, we will finally have a seat at the table for negotiating our futures." They asked that Activision Blizzard voluntarily recognize the union. Now, this comes after the QA staff at another Activision Blizzard subsidiary, Raven Software, voted to unionize earlier this year in an election that Activision was accused of union busting. Unionization has been a big topic in the industry lately, specifically at Activision in the wake of all their scandals. You might also remember that Microsoft, they're due to acquire Activision Blizzard. They recently struck a labor neutrality agreement with the Communication Workers of America that basically said Microsoft is going to remain neutral in regards to any unionization attempts at Activision Blizzard. So yeah, you can probably expect more of these in the future. We finally got dates for the closing of the Wii U and 3DS eShops. Boo. Play taps. Do we have the rights to taps? I don't know. Play a royalty-free version of taps. Man, I'm gonna miss those eShops, especially with 3DS. You might remember earlier this year, Nintendo said they were planning to shut down both eShops, which means a lot of digital titles would go away. That brought about a fan outcry. There's obviously game preservation issues there, and Nintendo's like, well, we're still doing it. In a recent tweet, they said that as of August 29th, it'll no longer be possible to add funds, and purchases will no longer be available on March 27th of 2023. So there's your end date. That's when you can't buy games anymore. They did add that even after March 27th and for the foreseeable future, you can still re-download games and DLC, receive software updates, and enjoy online play on both systems. It looks like a hacker is trying to extort Roblox using a lot of sensitive information that was stolen from the company. Vice reports that the hacker posted a cache of internal documents that were stolen from an employee that works for Roblox. They wrote the documents appear to relate to some of the most popular games and creators in Roblox. They apparently include personal information too. In an unidentified forum, the hacker posted a 4 gig archive of documents. They also posted a bunch of images. They included email addresses, ID documents, and spreadsheets that appear to relate to Roblox creators. In a statement, Roblox said the stolen documents were illegally obtained as part of an extortion scheme that we refused to cooperate with. We acted quickly upon learning of the incident, engaged independent experts to complement our information security team, and have tuned our systems to seek to detect and prevent similar attempts. Now, there have been a series of hacking attempts on Roblox. Some hackers target the company and its workers. Sometimes they bribe people. There's also this weird ecosystem of scammers who steal in-game items and then resell them. The company told Vice that Roblox has been actively investigating a phishing incident which involved a Roblox employee being targeted by cyber criminals. So there you go. All right, time for a 5-second review. I like cats, I like dogs, but let's be honest, cats are way easier to house train. With a dog, you're like, okay, now let's go outside, don't pee on the floor. And they're like, okay, it's gonna take me about 6 months to figure this out. But with a cat, you're just like, you bring them home, they could be like 2 weeks old, and you're like, here's your litter box, dude. It's like, I got you. All right, let's talk about the games coming out next week. First up, Autonauts versus Pirate Bots. Create, automate, and defend an impenetrable base. Assemble and command a bot army, build, program, and battle your way through 5 different zones. It comes to PC July 28th. Bear and Breakfast is a laid-back management adventure game where you build and run a bed and breakfast, but you're a bear. I love video games. Comes to PC and Switch July 28th. Captain Velvet Meteor, the Jump Plus divisions. Damien's life is flipped upside down when his family moves him from West Philadelphia to, just kidding, they move him to Japan. As a shy boy, he copes with his newfound loneliness with the power of his infinite imagination and creates an imaginary hero called Captain Velvet Meteor. In this imaginary world, he sets off on an adventure with his favorite Jump Plus heroes and fights to adjust to his new home and find himself. Comes to Switch July 28th. Sweet Transit is a unique city builder where the railway is king and trains are the sole means of transportation. Quaint villages will expand to bustling cities, farms to industrious factories, and steam-powered rail to combustious diesel and beyond in this interconnected, train-driven world. Comes to PC July 28th. Lost Epic is a 2D side-scrolling action RPG about war between gods and humanity. The player becomes the deity-defying knight Godslayer and explores the world known as Sanctum to bring the Pantheon of Six to their knees. Comes to PS5 and PS4 and PC July 28th. Digimon Survive sees a brand new group of teenagers get lost on a school camping trip, finding them transported to a strange new world of monsters and danger. As they fight their way back home through an animated world full of difficult decisions and deadly battles, players' choices throughout the game will impact the evolution of their monster allies and the final ending. Comes to PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch July 29th. Madison is a first-person psychological horror game that delivers an immersive and terrifying experience. With the help of an instant camera, connect the human world with the beyond, take pictures and develop them by yourself, solve puzzles, explore your surroundings, and most importantly, survive. It comes to Switch July 29th. Story of Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town. Welcome to Olive Town, a peaceful community established by your trailblazing grandfather and his friends. Now that you've taken over his farm, it's your job to carry on his legacy. Plant crops, raise animals, build relationships, and get to know the residents of your new home. Comes to PS4 July 29th. And finally, Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Join Noah and Mio, members of two opposing nations of Kiev and Agnes, on a heartfelt journey through a warring world with a dark secret. Ooh, I'm excited about this one. Traverse massive, fantastical landscapes and master seamless real-time RPG combat as you expose the true enemy pulling the strings. Because it's a JRPG, of course there's a true enemy pulling the strings behind it all. It comes to the Switch July 29th. That's all the news I got for you this week, guys. I hope you're having a great weekend. We'll see you soon.